Blue Lock dropped a bomb on us. As in this chapter we have Karasu thinking that he will replace Isagi before Ego comes and puts him right in his place. After that, we have an insane speech by Ego before we get to the France locker room, and if that wasn't crazy, then we see 3 new insane players subbing in for Blue Lock. Alright, starting off this chapter, also called Worst Possible Situation, we see that the first half between Japan and France is over, and that we are now in Blue Lock Japan's locker room, where we can see everyone taking a breather and thinking about what has just happened. We first off head over to Aiku, who starts to smile as he says that he can see why France is #1 in the world. But he doesn't stop just there, as he then goes even further and says that Hugo sure is nuts, which Aiku is spot on about. We then move to BACHIRA, who is drinking his water bottle, and he looks so wholesome as he then says that they are just 1 ahead, explaining that if they can fix their strategy in the second half, then they can still win. As BACHIRA says that, Ryo joins in on the conversation as he asks BACHIRA just how they are supposed to do that, saying that all of their attacking patterns that started with Isagi are right now dead in the water. BACHIRA then looks right at him and says that still, they built this team around Isagi. Ryo counters right away as he says that it's exactly why they are failing. BACHIRA, however, is just like me, a ride or die for Isagi, so he tells Ryo that they can still make it work. Ryo then starts to get just a tiny bit annoyed as he tells BACHIRA that at this rate, they are just going to get their asses kicked and lose. While that is going on, we actually spot Isagi chilling, just watching this go down while he is staying silent. But not long after that, Karasu speaks up and tells them all to just chill out. He explains that they can make up new patterns like Hiyori's goal. We then get a close-up of his face as he says that he will be this team's second best instead of Isagi, and that they should just run with this new strategy. And look, I like Karasu, but trying to replace Isagi as the center of the team? Calm down, lil bro. Anyway, just then, Ego comes out and tells Karasu to watch what he says. Karasu is super confused and caught off guard. Meanwhile, Ego just asks him if he is trying to kill Blue Lock, and he has a deadly stare as he says that, which makes both Karasu and Isagi look right at him. He continues to walk alongside Henri, as he explains that he does, in fact, applaud his quick-witted play change. But the problem is his mindset, saying that partway through the first half, it looked like he had given up on his own goals, asking Karasu what that was about. Karasu doesn't know what to say right off the bat, and is silent before saying that he thought that it would be the best for the team. But hearing that just makes Ego a bit mad, as he tells Karasu that he thought that he had already told him that those who fight for the team are worthless trash, and Karasu doesn't respond with anything. Instead, he lets Ego go on this yapping rant as he takes his hand across his face and says that if every soccer player tried to play in line with their suitability, then in the end, it would be nothing but a competition of physical abilities and tactics. Ego doesn't stop there, as the Yap King continues and says that France is a multi-ethnic country with a broadly welcoming culture. The variety of talents produced there leads to a diversity of soccer techniques and makes it easier for suitable talents for every position to be born. Ego says that if France assembles an outstanding team of players hand-picked for their suitable talents, Ego then asks them if they think that Japan has any chance of winning even if they do the same thing. He then doesn't even give them any chance to answer, as he just tells them that the answer is no. He explains that telling people to live suitably or to be happy with their position in life is how the strong get the weak to stop thinking so they can control their possibilities. We then cut to a small panel of Ego's eyes, which look manic as he says that they are weak, and if they lived suitably, they could never change the world. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? He tells all of them that it's exactly why he told them all to be strikers, and that this philosophy of going beyond suitability is the heart of Blue Lock. He then puts his finger against his head while looking around at everyone and tells them to imagine that they could live 100 times. He asks them how many of those times they could become the world's best strikers. If he were to make an incredibly optimistic and miraculously high evaluation, then he would say that it would only be possible one time out of those 100. He then starts to look genuinely scary as he says that an egoist lives for that one chance that never would have happened if they'd known their place. We then cut to Isagi, and we can see that he is starting to get fired up as his aura is quickly coming back out. But just then, Karasu speaks up and tells Ego that still he can't deny that their current approach isn't working. Ego then grabs his iPad and says that he is right, and that if you want something new, then first you need to let go of something old. He then looks closely at them as he says that they are dropping Isagi's centered strategy, and that here's the formation that they will use to fight back in the second half. And as he says that, we can see Isagi, Rin, Hiyori, and Karasu all looking hopefully towards Igo. However, sadly, we don't learn anything more right away, as we instead go right to the France locker room, where we see the players chilling, and after that, we see the French team coach, who is called Rodin. He speaks up and says that they are the strongest generation. They are gods, once-in-a-century chosen ones. They won't just change France's history. This incredible collection of talent will change all of soccer forever. He then tries to look cool and aura farm, but he could never be like the GOAT, Igo. But he ends it by telling them all that they are France's Les Bleus and that they should go and make history. We then see all of the no-name characters get super excited by that, while Loki, Charles, and Hugo couldn't care any less at all. After that, we are still staying on the France side as we see them starting to walk out, and Loki calls out to Charles. He tells Charles to give him more line-breaking passes this half. Charles is just a bit shocked and asks him what he means, pretty much. Loki, who we can see is stretching a bit, says that if this ends without him scoring, then the earth will be sad, asking if he isn't right. Charles just tries to rage bait him a bit as he asks Loki if he feels frustrated, but after that he has a huge smirk on his face as he says, "Alright," and that he will give him some nasty ones. And this just screams foreshadowing for an insane Charles and Loki goal in this half. But after that, we see Hugo, who goes and puts his arms around Loki and Charles. And I never realized how huge Hugo really is, but he is massively. Anyway, he tells Loki that it's okay and that he doubts that this match will end like this. Both Charles and Loki seems to be a bit confused to what it is that Hugo is meaning, but he then looks right at them and tells them that it will get messy. And after that, all three of them looks out to the pitch, and Hugo says that it seems that Blue Lock has chosen that destiny, which honestly is the only good one. But we then get to what it is that Hugo is referring to, and we spot Kunigami, BAROU, and SHIDOU all having entered the pitch and is getting ready to give it their absolute all. SHIDOU is the first to speak as he starts to look manic as he says that his cells are screaming. BAROU looks insanely cool as he is fixing his wristbands with his mouth and says that it's time to hunt, and we then have Kunigami, who also looks pretty dope, but still a bit emo as he then tells them to quit drooling and calls them beasts. After that we see the formation, and we see that Rin is in the middle and SHIDOU and BAROU are on the wings. We also see that Kunigami got placed down in the midfield alongside Isagi and Karasu. We then cut to the players that was benched, and we see BACHIRA looking sad as he says that they have been dismissed. NIKO also adds in by saying that there is no use crying about it, and while they are somewhat down, we then have CHIGIRI on the side encouraging Kunigami. And once again, their friendship might be the best thing to ever happen to the story, as I just love it. Anyway, we then see Isagi being alone on the pitch, and he thinks that they are going for an all-out offense formation. He looks more ready than ever, as he thinks that the strategy centered around him was obliterated. He then looks right at Hugo, who is before him, and he thinks that there's someone clearly more talented and a bigger dreamer than him standing right here. This is the worst possible situation. But still, Isagi closes his eyes as he starts to wonder why he starts to feel so excited about all of this. He tells himself to surpass Hugo, and that it's what his ego is screaming at him to do. And with that, we see both Isagi's and Hugo's eyes starting to flare up like crazy as they are burning a ton. Also with that, the commentator screams that it's time for the second half kickoff. And just like that, it was back on. Now I can happily announce that there is no break this week, which is just insane, as we will get right into the match again. And I'm so excited, as we know, have all of the Jokers out on the field and ready to go absolutely insane. Also, the next chapter will be called No Guard, which I'm not too sure on what it could mean. Maybe that France will have no guard on how to deal with Blue Lock's Jokers. However, it did seem like Hugo was already somewhat prepared for the possibility of Blue Lock going this way and putting in SHIDOU and BAROU. Also, I can't wait to see what Charles and Loki was teasing while walking out of the tunnel. Like, there is no way they weren't foreshadowing a goal happening in this next half, and no joke. But I feel confident in saying that I fully believe that whatever they come up with might be the best goal of this match. Anyway, this chapter was a lot of words, and my brain is really fried, so I will end it here. However, first off, I will tell you guys what I would rate this chapter. Personally, it was super good. However, I was a bit lost sometimes. But still, I will give it a 6. However, please let me know what you guys would give this chapter down in the comments, and also what your favorite moments from this chapter was. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, and then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.